Our group identified the machine then. Number one, too complex. That's throughout the system. Two, we've got imaginary insight. So we always in a position where we believe we know, but we're not actually getting the customer's feedback necessarily, or way of involving their thoughts directly. Three, is demand greater than supply, or are we using our resources badly? Is there a mismatch between homes and allocations? And four, we've got lots of fragmentation and duplication, so that just the number of housing associations that exist. And five, which we've stuck at the moment, is lack of political consensus. So our roadmap is unclear and we're operating in an environment that can change with the wind. So what do we do about that? Discuss. Anyone want to pick it up?
So sitting next to housing register. For me, that's data. So shared data is number one.
Data acquisition.
Yeah, well, data, transparent data, open data, meaningful data.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's
a pretty good starting point.
And that data being used to inform investment, to inform what other decisions we need to make around that. And that'll be for different types of people deciding whether that's young people or older people, and around using what we've got to try and build on that for making sure that what we're doing and building for the future is a good investment.
It has value to it.
There's also services, there's a state of the property. Once you know what the properties are, then you can...
So find your variables, measure your variables, and see how you can tweak them. There you go, you heard it here first. Data-driven decision making is our solution for everything.
But there are people in there as well.
And
data,
people, yes.
Data enable.
They come second, we'll do data first.
I think this is more of a talking show.
Talk about the broad things we talked about.
Obviously, we didn't know whether Uber actually was the right thing to go with for this kind of thing. I mean, my idea was more in the right move kind of idea. If you're going to get rid of CBL, which I think everybody would consensuously go with, that is awful. Right move allows you, when you buy a house, pretty much to pick your area, what you want, your size, everything. I think you can go very much that same aspect for the social housing aspect. If you're at the end of the day, the person living there and wants to move is the person at the end of the day who's most important. So being able to choose that one-bedroom flat where they want, and if there is any available, gives them that access. And that's open to everybody. Internet, app, even paper applications, we could probably go down that line, if you have a central line.
Do you want to talk a bit about the trajectory you talked about in terms of social housing?
Yeah, so the Uber conversation got us thinking a little bit about whether the trajectory that we were on in eco housing is the right one, regardless of whether it's being forced down or whether we kind of take control of this. So the question we were asking is, is the trajectory that we should be looking to how we get rid of housing associations in the next 10 years and look at the way assets are understood, and whether, as housing in the UK is an asset class, how we start to help more ownership amongst citizens, how we can have models of our housing associations built more on a democratic reality, i.e., who's going to be the first housing association to cap all their salaries at £50,000 and do all the things that we need to structurally match the people that we're trying to serve, rather than serve ourselves based on those who have the least in society. And it would be interesting to see who are the first people who would do that. If we started talking about cooperatives and or other ways of looking at ownership, but these have all got challenges. But the real question was, how are we going to have housing associations that are structurally built based on the people that they are supposed to be serving? How do we turn more towards public good and to extinction of the housing association as a bounded kind of organisation, rather than one that basically makes a living off those who are struggling the most? And I know that's quite provocative, but that's kind of where we
There's a lot of
were.
discussion here about the amount of infrastructure we've got around that, not just the housing association sector, the whole poverty industry, if you want to term it that.
Yeah.
And actually, how could that be redistributed in a very, very different way? Do you want to make your point about not trying to do everything?
Yeah, so we're just basically saying about, we keep on talking about bread and butter and housing and its rents and repairs, and does that really need to be the case? Should we be picking the things that we're really good at and not try to be good at everything, and keep on, like, we frame the conversation even before we start and saying, like, this is our bread and butter, it's rents and repairs? Does it have to be that? If we're really good at community stuff, why don't we do more of that? yeah, let the people that are really good at stuff do it. And the other thing that we sort of spoke about a lot is that yeah, we look at Uber as this like sort of brilliant taxi company. It's actually about data and tech, and it's how do we use our data and tech. And again, we talked about Uber drivers. Like, you know, there's a company that's doing brilliantly and there's customers that are benefiting as well, but when you talk to Uber drivers, they're not actually making a lot of money. Yeah, they're not making a lot of money, and the only reason they do it is that they don't have the same overheads as working for a traditional minicab firm, and they're busy, you know, but really whose interest is it really in? So that was the sort of fundamental to us, was is that we need to be looking at supply, we need to be looking at democratising it, and whose interest are we serving by just sorting the services out when there's more fundamental things that we need to sort out.
So this group, essentially, although we didn't come up with a model, okay, so we didn't fulfil the brief.
What?
Okay.
Was your brief?
Okay. However, okay, what we actually did say was we don't want the Uber model, but actually if we don't do something different with that data that you talked about and make it a really good user experience, someone else is going to look at that data and there will be an Uber at some point, and we don't want that one.
Well, I was with the perhaps the team that were thinking a little bit more ahead, maybe. But we've come up with a model. You'll be glad to know, Paul. So, very exciting. Lots of conversation and lots of drawing, which I'm very grateful for Tyrone taking ahead. So, do you want to explain what we just went for it, didn't we? We just went for an idea. I'm going to hand it over to these guys to talk through.
I think we took it right back to the customer, basically. What do they want? What do they need? They don't necessarily need the private rent sector. They don't necessarily need housing associations. What they need is a home. They need repairs fixing, whether that's through somebody next door who's part of a cooperative repair service, or whether it's by a big conglomerate. It doesn't really matter to them. What they want is a good service. And I think part of what we were talking about was basically bringing pretty much a kind of some form of directory where people could access services that they want and need in a timely manner, and that's a kind of 7-day, 24-hour service. Yes, we were kind of thinking, you know, very kind of high level, what if there wasn't housing associations, what if there wasn't private rented sector, how do we actually model and frame that? And we also said there is a very sort of high level sort of tranche of people who need sort of higher support needs and supported services that actually, you know, specialist services could provide for, but actually kind of generic housing management, we're all in different housing associations and different companies who've got patches of land here that then cut patches of land here that then repair a house here and somebody else repairs as a house next door. It's just absolutely ludicrous, and we need a total rethink. And we thought the kind of online sort of TripAdvisor kind of service for our services could be very good in terms of who provides that, where and when, and you've got a choice. For those people who can't get online or don't have that choice, they do have that higher support needs linked in with the health and sort of housing agenda.
Yeah, we talked about the current model as well, the current contractor model, the 5-year deal. You know, the behaviours at the beginning of that 5 years and the behaviours at the end of that 5 years, and what drives the behaviours. And we talked about, if you think about TripAdvisor, what drives individual organisations to perform well is the wares are being put on show, and future purchases and future business is dependent on their level of feedback. So if we can create a model where contractors are scored by individuals, customers, and the customers have a choice as to which contractor they bring into their home, that creates a completely different behaviour. Because at the end of the day, if you're at the top of that list, and when we talked about some of the things that customer wants in terms of quality, flexibility, trust, choice, if we can score contractors on those levels, when I'm a tenant and I'm logging on, I get a choice who comes into my house. And we had a conversation about what makes a home and why the rental properties are deemed less desirable than having a mortgage. And is that to do with the fact that I don't get to say who walks into my house and does a job for me, and when that job gets done, and what type of materials get used? Does that house then feel like mine if I have now saying what goes into that house? So we talked about giving people the choice and how. Well, we talked about how the RSL sector, but in the end we didn't, but how that would get funded and how that would get paid for. But I think the driver is, I'm in my property, I get to choose who does the repair, I get to choose on the things that are important to me, and I get to say when that gets done, and then that information gets fed back in, and effectively, the good organisations find their way to the top of the list and the bad contractors find their way to the bottom of the list.
Fair.
Excellent. Okay.